bad day. I woke up late, missed breakfast, put on my favorite jacket. There was already a hole in the pocket. Car didn't start. Got raped in the parking lot. I love that jacket. I'm going to be turning 30 soon. I'm not looking forward to it at all. This is definitely not where I thought I would be when I was 20, 10 years later in my comedy career. I kind of thought by now I'd be like a beloved, well-known household comedian and then somehow sort of still like an avant-garde, kind of edgy underground guy. And I'd have a show on Comedy Central and it'd be highly publicized. Everybody'd be looking forward to it, just waiting for it. And I'd give it some name that had nothing to do with what it was, just to keep people guessing. Like, Michael Larios presents the last sober unicorn. And people are just waiting for it and waiting for it. Then finally it comes on, and it's just 30 minutes of me farting into an open Cookie Monster lunchbox. Just like, it's gotta be open. And then finally it ends at 30 minutes, and I close the lunchbox and then drop it off at Toys for Tots, and that's the end of it. But I can pull it off. But this is where I am. Another thing that's kind of scaring me, I work out now. I'm a runner. I do a cycling class. I call it cycling class and not spin class, because if I called it spin class, then I'd have to start blowing guys and wearing designer jeans. And designer jeans are very expensive. But I'm keeping in shape now. I don't know if that'll happen once I'm 30. I might just say, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna get fat and love it. And not just like kind of fat, not even just really fat. Like, so fat I can't even get weighed at the doctor's office anymore, and they have to send me down to the farm show to get weighed like cattle. Because that's what they do if you get too fat. They'll be really nice if you're too fat for one scale, and they'll put two scales next to each other and you can stand on one with each foot. But if you're too fat for that, then it's off to the farm show or a zoo to get weighed. It's a two-strike policy at the doctor's office. They're not going to put three scales together next to each other and watch you like Cupid shuffle your way across. Like, hey honey, we're on the farm show. For what, a tractor pull? No, I've just got so violently fat they have to now weigh me on a scale made for horses and other large quadrupeds. Then afterwards we have to swing by the Baltimore Aquarium so I can get a CAT scan. I'd be tempted to pay for all of that out of pocket at that point if I got that fat, because I don't want that suspicious call from my health insurance company. Like, Mr. Larios, did you go to SeaWorld and write it off as a medical expense? Like, well, I needed a colonoscopy and they have a tube that's specially made for manatees. You know what, let's cut the middleman out of here. According to this report, they removed several mops from your ass. Yes, well, that's how I wash myself these days, and sometimes they break off back there. You know what, once again, let's just leave out the paperwork. Another thing that's scaring me is I go out with my dad for dinner, and he's up there in age, and now anywhere we eat, if it's just even a little bit greasy, he can't make it more than 10 minutes after we're done eating without going to the bathroom, where he risks a very real possibility of shitting himself in public. And he's pretty good at it, actually. He's got a decent track record, but it's not completely unblemished. He's not undefeated. He walks out of the Denny's bathroom and says, "Oof, I had to throw out my underwear. That was a close call." Like, if you had to throw out your underwear, Dad, that is not a close call. But I'm worried, like, that's going to happen to me. Like, that's the legacy one day I'll inherit. Like, one day soon, my dad's going to sit me down and, like, "Son, let me tell you about the Larios curse." It's just like lightning in the background. Some cat running away. And if it were like Twilight or True Blood, this would be like the really cool scene where my dad's like, "Well, when we turn 30 at a full moon, you'll turn into a werewolf and spend the rest of your life wandering the wilderness as a rebel werewolf and banging attractive women." Instead, it's like, I would avoid Cheesecake Factory. Any combination of spinach and cheese, you know what, just raw vegetables in general is bad news bears. If you do shit yourself, worst case scenario, if you sit there for an hour, they'll ask you to leave without pay. Another thing I noticed about getting older is, I was at a party this last weekend, and there were a few other people, late 20s, early 30s, but most of the crowd was early 20s. And that was, you know, when the news came out about Whitney Houston dying. I'm sorry, I get choked up. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she's dead." I was like, "Ah, I can't believe Bobby Brown outlived her." And everyone there's like, who's Bobby Brown? I was like, come on, you know Bobby Brown, the king of R&B, you know. And they start like naming songs, and they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I start singing the songs. I'm like, too hot to handle, too cold to hold. You call the Ghostbusters and they're in control. And just everyone just like staring at me. And I realized like 2 minutes into this song, if I haven't already cemented myself as a creepy old fuck at the party, that's exactly what I'm doing now. So I just said to hell with it and roofied all the 20-year-olds. If you're gonna be the creepy old fuck, at least, I mean, I gave you a story. You went down to Baltimore and got butt raped by a Bobby Brown fan. And it wasn't just the girls, all the 20-year-olds. Except the gay dudes. I'm very selfish. I don't want anyone enjoying this but me. My other go-to move as an old guy at a party is to start politics. I'm talking to this 20-year-old, and I'm explaining to her why the Minnesota primary didn't mean anything for the Republicans. And she's sitting there like, can you hear my vagina just drying up and walking out of the room right now from all the way up there on your douchey pedestal? At what point during this conversation did you expect me to just bend over and start blowing you? I was like, well, usually after my Janet Reno impression, that gets it done. All right, that's been my time, everybody. Thank you. Michael Larios, everybody. Keep it going.